definitely dealing with some type of heat wave going through. Changes are happening on Terra, on Earth. It's definitely become more energy filled, you could say. Energy something warm, anything that's warm produces energy. There's a lot of light in the world. Um, these heat waves that we are having, I had grass outside about a month or two ago that was pretty brown. Um, exact cause, I like to keep an open mind. It could be that changes are genuinely happening on Earth. You know, how Kenneth Copeland, you know how he is. He's famous. He's famous for his rants. I call for a supernatural heat wave. Right? I'm not necessarily going to say Kenneth Copeland is the reason for it. I mean, there's many people in his comments that says that if he took his mask off and showed that he was Satan, a lot of people would not bat an eye, and I can sort of understand that. He does have a certain way about him. In the name of Jesus. Right? Yeah. Some of my actually, I've been influenced a little bit by that guy. The way he deals with things, it's not the best way to go about things. It's definitely something super and something natural, but I don't know if it's supernatural in the traditional sense. The thing about climate change, you know, they try to tell you everything's getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter, or that temperatures are just going crazy, right? Extra hot and extra cold. And the thing about climate change, the thing about it is that I do think that some of it's got to be natural on some level. But at the same time, I don't know if this is necessarily going to cause a complete disaster like many people are saying. I'll say this. I'll say this. Um, it may have something to do with industries. Maybe. There's a belief surrounding that. That greenhouse gases and different types of gases that go in the air are somehow making things warmer. I don't know if we're at the point where technology can influence weather directly, but that's another possibility. That's another theory people have brought out. But I do know that heat is one of those things, you know, the light of the sun um, plays a role in a lot of things. And the sun is very important, though. I mean, you know, a lot of people might neglect that sunlight is really important, you know, neglect the importance of sunlight. Well, there's certain older guys that do go out in the sun and they look reasonably healthy. I mean, you know, there's people that say that too much sun exposure will wrinkle you up and make you all ugly looking. And you know, I can see maybe to a point, I can see where they're coming from there. But there's also examples of people that go out a fair bit. And I think it's one of those things that it's a gradual process of getting more and more used to the weather in some sense. Does tanning mean skin damage? Well, that's debatable. I don't want to make an ass out of myself. That's debatable. It could be your skin's way of protecting itself. Not necessarily because it's dangerous, but to adapt to it. Because it would be dangerous otherwise, maybe. But, you know, we evolved in places, and of course, you know, it could be argued that back then people had more pigment on their skin, you know, but we evolved in certain places where people were in very warm weather. And so it's reasonable that the heat is not the absolute devil. But this type of heat going on here, I'm really not sure what it's coming from. I don't know if weather is really different than it was back in the old days. I mean, I guess it depends on what you mean by the old days, too. But, you know, weather seems to change as Earth ages. I mean, you know, at one point in time, we was in an ice age. Earth was, anyway. And then, you know, there were tropical times, which I'm sure had heat waves also. So, I mean, life will probably adapt slowly to this. I don't think it's going to change like overnight. Everything's going to just heat up and everything's going to die. I do have faith that life will evolve. Life will continue to evolve. And you know, we should not distance ourselves from the elements too much, because we evolved. We evolved from the elements, you know. The elements are, I mean, you know, they're our enemy in some respects, but they're our friends also. We have to try our best, you know. We have to try our best with what we're capable of. But other than that, you know, I don't know what to say about this new weather we're going through. It's one of a kind, you know. Coming outside at 2 o'clock on some days and 104 degrees. It's impressive. Scary, but impressive. I don't know what to say. You know, I'd like to know more about this. I know there's people that will argue, you know, people like Neil deGrasse Tyson's going crazy, you know. And then the more, you know, philosophically minded, like Jordan Peterson, he's kind of shrugging it off. And I think that what we need to do is try to find and see if there's a middle ground. See what truth we can find from either side, because I think we overhype a lot of this stuff, but I don't want to be too dogmatic. Either way, not much time in this video, so I'm going to have to leave.